7:02. This is Indus entrepreneurs, so we're actually doing really well today. No, we like to start things on time here. Can I get everyone from the outside to come in? There's lots of seats right here, front row seat. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'm delighted to see the room packed for our third Pitch Fest. Thank you to our panelists for joining us this evening, and thank you to all of you for coming. My name is Kiran Malhotra. I'm the Executive Director for Thai Silicon Valley, and this is our last program of the year. How many of you have been to the Pitch Fest? We've done 2 Pitch Fests before this. How many of you have been to the last 2 Pitch Fests? We just launched the program this year. Only a couple. Okay, great. Great, that's great. So this is going to be a fantastic program, a great program. Even though there are 8 entrepreneurs who are going to be selected to pitch, it'll be a great learning experience for the rest of you because of the feedback that they'll be getting from the investors panel. So what I'd like to do at the beginning is just to set a stage for those of you who are maybe new to Thai or don't know much about Thai, to give you the context of who we are and why we do what we do. How many of you are members of Thai or been to a Thai program before? So many of you have been to a Thai program. How many of you are non-members? Okay, fantastic. So we have a whole crop of people who are going to be Thai members by the end of this session, right? Thai was founded right here in 1992, right here in the Silicon Valley, by a group of people, mostly from the Indus region, who came here with their education and their willingness to work hard. And they made it big, very successful beyond their wildest imaginations. And they did this without a lot of help or support. And they said, wouldn't it be nice if we could get together and we could help other entrepreneurs succeed? So that's exactly what they did. They would come together as a small group first, and they would tell their stories, and they would invite other successful entrepreneurs at the time. And before you knew it, this organization, this group has grown into 57 chapters in 14 countries with the sole mission and purpose of fostering entrepreneurship. Next year will be our 20th anniversary. We have 3 major stakeholders of Thai, our membership community, which many of you are our members. We have our charter member community. Now, our charter members are really the backbone of the organization. They are very highly successful entrepreneurs, very highly successful corporate executives or academics, and they're invited to be charter members, and they are invited because we ask of them one very important thing, and that's their time and their expertise. And they give it to us very freely. I have a number of charter members in the room. Can you raise your hands for me? Raise them very high. So if I were you, get to know who they are. Prashant, you can raise your hand. You raise your hand. Get to know them. Go sit by them, because I guarantee you'll find a great mentor, a great friend, somebody who has fantastic networks in the Valley and beyond. And they're really wonderful people, because they are people who pay Thai, and they actually give of their time and expertise. So thank you to all the charter members who do that for us. There are about 300 in the Silicon Valley. I've got a few board members in the room who are charter members, starting with our program chair, Mr. Naveen Bisht, Paul Singh, who's our marketing chair, Murli Rangarajan, who has been a board member for many years. This is his last few weeks with us as a board member, so last event. He seems a little bit gleeful. Murli, please. I mean, he's outgoing, but he's not going out, right, Murli? You're gonna, we'll pull you in on some different stuff. Is Sanjay Mittal here? I thought Sanjay was here too. Maybe. Is Sanjay here? Oh, maybe he stepped out. Okay, Sanjay Mittal, who's our systems chair. And then we have our incoming charter member chair here, Mr. Prashant Shah. He never rests, obviously. He's running the Pitch Fest, he's now going to be a board member. He just doesn't sleep, I suppose. But thank you to all the charter members for really supporting this organization and doing the things that you do. The third stakeholder are our sponsor community. They are from the VCs, from the big law firms, from the corporates, from service providers, and they provide the lifeblood to Thai. And we have about 40 sponsors total for Thai. And we can't do the programs that we do, the quality of the programs that we do, without their support as well. So thank you to all the sponsors for your support. And then I failed to mention that there's actually a fourth category of stakeholders for TIE, and that is from all of the 3 categories, and those are the volunteers. So I maintain a very small and very lean staff of about 5 people total. But everybody else, from the people who sit on the panels to the people who put together the panels, our board members, the people who are helping at the door, they are all of you are volunteers. So we can't do the things that we do without the volunteer commitment to TIE as well. So we thank you to the volunteers as well. We do about 50 to 60 of these programs a year. This is the last program of the year. We do programs across all the technology verticals. We do forums like the TIE Women's Forum, the Economic Forum. We do purely networking mixers. We launched a program this year called My Story, which we launched in March, featuring successful entrepreneurs, kind of going back to our roots, because that's what we used to do when we started. We would feature somebody who had become successful to tell their story. So we called it My Story, and that's been a very successful program for us. We launched Pitch Fest this year in August, and it's been a fantastic program for us. And then we launched about a year ago a program called TIE Angels, which is a seed funding forum for promising startups. And to this date, we have funded 11 companies, with several more in the pipeline in just a year. We just had a fantastic article in the New York Times by the tech reporter. So you can go to our website to check that out. But it's been a wonderful program. So if you are a promising startup, or you know a promising startup looking for seed funding, send them to TIE Angels. You can go online, click on TIE Angels. It's a self-explanatory process, online application. And if you have any questions, you can contact me. Prashant is on the steering committee as well, and so is Naveen after this. Lastly, I would like to thank our board of directors and my tiny staff. You've met Patricia. They work very hard and provide fantastic support for the programs and all of the things that we do at TIE. So thank you to them. And without further ado, I am going to turn the floor over to Naveen or Prashant. Who? To Naveen.
I was just going to introduce Prashant, but
Okay, take it away.
Let's thank Kiran and all staff and all the volunteers over here. Since this is our last event, and obviously I can't do as good as Kiran did here. So another applause to her. So I wanted to introduce Prashant really, who's our chair for this TIE Startup Pitch Fest. Prashant is. He has been a very successful venture capitalist. He used to be partnered with Hummer Winblad for over 10 years, focusing a lot in the software area. Before that, he has been part of large companies like AT&T, as well as small companies which went public in the security space. So, and at the same time, I've been involved with Prashant for the last couple of years when we launched TIE Angels right from the day one. So he's one of the co-founders of TIE Angels with Venk Shukla, who leads that, who is going to be our who is also president-elect for TIE Silicon Valley. So, and last year, somehow feel like this year is already gone. So early this year, I had asked Prashant, can we create some program around, this whole idea of adding value to the entrepreneur. So one of the things was this Pitch Fest, and really, it wouldn't have happened without his leadership and his creativity. So with that, I would like to hand it over to Prashant. And of course, thanks a lot to all our panelists for taking time out, even Ankur, driving down all the way from San Francisco. So really appreciate it, and all of you to be here. With that, anyway, let's give a big round of applause to the panelists.
Thank you, Naveen. I think my first goal as a board member is to stop introducing the introducers and just get straight to the program. Anyway, so first of all, I do appreciate the panelists joining us this evening, and all of you, and especially all of you entrepreneurs whose names are going to be called to get up here and do the pitch in front of everyone. This is our last event of the year, and it should be a lot of fun. In a moment, I will ask the panelists to introduce themselves, but what I wanted to do, keyboard to work, is just to kind of go over how this particular event itself runs. First of all, what's the purpose of this event? My guess is that there's an engineer here in the audience today who has just finished reading Steve Jobs' biography and decided that they want to change the world. So this was the notion of how do you get started? And the way you get started, obviously, is you need to go and meet investors at some point, whether it's VCs like this or angel groups or individual angels yourself. And the whole point of the elevator pitch is to get that first meeting. So this particular event is to help you figure out what is it that makes for a good elevator pitch that can get you that first meeting. One of the questions we get back all the time is the feedback that the panelists will give, is it on the pitch or is it on the idea? And it's hard to separate the two. If you've got a good idea, it can certainly get obscured by a bad pitch. If you've got a good pitch, then a bad idea isn't going to stand on its own. So you really have to kind of mix the two a little bit, and I think you'll hear some of the feedback from the panelists. Sometimes it'll relate more to the style of the presentation, and other times it'll be more about the substantive idea that sits behind it. Another question we get all the time is, why don't you filter the entrepreneurs ahead of time? Well, first of all, this is not a forum for vetting companies. This really is a forum for helping entrepreneurs hone their elevator pitch. And so because of that, we're not worried so much about half-baked ideas and things like that. And you'll probably see a huge variety in the quality of the pitch as well as the quality of the idea. And besides, like I said, everyone has to start somewhere. You just got inspired by Steve Jobs' biography, and now you're ready to start your next company. So the format of the evening is we're going to do a random draw out of the little jar that's sitting on the table over there. Is there anyone, before we get too far into is there anyone else who wants to throw their business card into the jar?
Last chance.
Last chance. Going once, going twice. Oh, okay, he's reaching for something else. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll pick the names out of that jar, and the entrepreneur comes here to this microphone and speaks both to the panel as well as the audience, and it's a 2-minute timed talk. I've got an iPad here with a timer application on it, so you'll be able to see it directly. No props, no cheat sheets, no slides, none of that kind of stuff. But for 2 minutes, you get to give your 2-minute elevator pitch. And after that, the panel will ask you a few questions for about another 2-3 minutes. And then after that, I will ask the panel to quote-unquote score the pitch. And the score means one of 3 things, and they're going to hold up, they're going to flash their scores. It's either going to be, call me, means, hey, I'm really interested in what you have to say and I want a meeting, in which case that's success as defined by the elevator pitch. Oops, I'll get that in a second. Or email me, which is kind of a non-committal answer, so I'm hoping the panel will not use that too often. But email me, which means, hey, send me something, I'll think about it, and we'll see where it goes. Or, no thanks. And this, by the way, while it sounds harsh, is actually a perfectly fine answer, because you don't want to waste your time, they don't want to waste their time. So if you get a no thanks, it just means, hey, one less thing on your checklist. You move on to the next investor. Now, this is not, and then after this flash of the scorecards, the next thing I'll do also is ask the panel a couple questions about why they rated it the way they did, what improvements there could have been, etc. This is, as I said, it's not a contest, but after all 8 entrepreneurs have gone up here, I am going to ask the panelists to conclude what they thought was the best elevator pitch of the evening, and that entrepreneur will get a chance to come to the Thai Angels screening meeting, which is the second Monday in January. Normally, Thai Angels, when we screen for companies, you submit an application online. We pick out of all the online applications the best 6 or 10 or so. We bring them in for a live screening. Out of those, we pick the best 3 or 4 and bring them in for a dinner meeting. So if your pitch is selected tonight as the best pitch of the evening, we will automatically slot you into that live screening meeting where you get a chance, if you come out of there as one of the best 3 or 4, then to pitch Thai Angels at their dinner meeting. So, see me if you are the winner at the end of the day. Just a few very quick tips on giving an elevator pitch, and these were on the website, so I hope this is not the first time you're actually looking at this, otherwise you're going to have to think really fast. First of all, be concise. Get to the point early. Within that first 10, 15 seconds, you should be able to tell the panel and the audience what it is that you do. And one of the tricks in getting to that point quickly is to avoid using buzzwords. So don't come up here and say, we're a cloud-based, location-based service for blah, 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 blah. Just say, here's what we do. We give you coupons at the nearest restaurant that you're at, or whatever it is. When the panel asks you questions during the Q&A session, answer those questions directly. Don't beat around the bush. Just get to the point. If they're asking you for how much revenue you generated last year, don't say, well, we're about to, we haven't generated anything, but here's our plan, or we did $1 million, or whatever. And then finally, just remember again that the goal of an elevator pitch is to get a meeting, not to get a check. So you don't have to oversell. Just give enough information to make your business sound like it's an interesting enough opportunity that these investors would want to learn a little bit more. Okay. Any questions on the format? Okay, good. So before we get started, two things. Please turn your cell phones off or on vibrate mode. The other is there are some feedback forms on the table. It really helps us a lot to keep the quality of these programs high if you're able to give us feedback by the end of the day. Now, everyone who registered will also get a survey. Is that right, Patricia? So you'll also get a survey link post the event. But if you don't want to fill that out, and while it's fresh in your mind and you want to fill that out on paper, we appreciate that as well. So with that, let me sit down. Dan, if we can turn the screens off.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask, why don't we start with Ankur? Could you just give us a little background on yourself, your fund, what you'd like to see?
Hi, my name is Ankur Jain. I'm with Bloomberg Capital. We're an early stage venture capital firm based in the city. Typically do seed, Series A. We're often the first institutional money in a company. And as you say, if you're compelled, we're often ready to invest in a guy with a dog and an idea. So, we're ready to we're excited about early stage companies. We are especially focused on digital media, mobile, internet, e-commerce companies. We have international investments as well. We have companies in Israel, we have in Europe, we have one in India, so we have an international footprint. My personal background, before Bloomberg, I used to do strategy consulting for Accenture. I spent some time there. Before that, I used to work for Cisco. I came into an acquisition. I was with a company called Andiamo, which was into storage, networking, and data center switching. I spent about 8 years in Cisco and Andiamo. Before that, I was with a company called Software Networks, which was a content delivery network, which was then acquired by Digital Island in 2000. I spent some time there. So I have operational experience, so I can see things from the entrepreneur side. So don't have any feedback. I fully, I understand. I can, stand in your shoes. So, but I'll be around after this, after the pitch, and if you want to talk to me, or I'll be happy to chat.
Good evening. I'm Niti Krishna from Red Point Ventures. Okay, so Niti Krishna from Red Point Ventures. We have two funds that are active. One is an early stage technology fund, and this is for seed, A or B level. And we invest across a variety of physical science-based companies, a lot of infrastructure, build-outs, IT, software, web, gaming, all the current things that are going on. I personally focus on materials and energy and companies that have a lot of science or heavy technology in them. And then we have a late-stage early growth fund where the technology has been proven out, the business model has been proven out, but there's an opportunity that can allow the company to go really big. And so they're looking for money that can help them to grow big. So it's not like private equity, but it is more venture flavor.
Venu Pemaraju, investment manager at Intel Capital. I've been at Intel Capital for 11 years, and my current area of focus is mobile investments. Prior to Intel Capital, I was at Synopsys and Mentor Graphics. I went through the same engineering, marketing, and then into this role at Intel Capital. Most of you probably know about Intel Capital. It's one of the largest investors out there. Intel probably invests about $400 to $500 million a year. We invest across the globe. About 50% of the investments that Intel does are outside of the US. We are stage agnostic, so we do Series A and all the way up into the public markets as well. But I know my limitations, and I usually do not do Series A or seed. Man needs to know his limitations. So if you see this, no thanks coming from me. I hope it's not Prashant telling me no thanks, you don't need to come anymore. But it's possible that if it is too early, it may not be a good fit for something that I look at.
I'm Dan Levine. I work at Excel Partners and focus on the early stage. So a little bit about Excel. Excel is at this point relatively stage agnostic for venture. We do everything from seed all the way up to growth rounds. So seed and Series A out of a venture fund, and we just raised our second growth fund, and that's for, as we mentioned earlier, that's for ideas where it's still ideally, at least in our case, the first money to a business, but maybe that business was bootstrapped a little longer, or was in geography that gets a little less attention. So we spend time on that, and we're also international. So we have offices in India, China, London, New York, the US. And out of those offices, we also make investments in Australia and Brazil. So I think pretty much everywhere except Africa will be there. And then my background, so I focus on the early stage at Excel, specifically these days, a lot of mobile, a lot of infrastructure services. The firm also does a lot of e-commerce and consumer web, which is a lot of what we're known for. And my background before Excel, I founded my own company, went through Y Combinator. So to me, 2 minutes that's the whole thing. Those are the pitch lengths you get there, and it's a great time. And then before that, I managed Crunchbase at TechCrunch. So I ran our analytics products there, and also just ran the product as a whole. That's my background.
Okay, great. So, you guys ready? All right, let's pick our first name out of that. Uncle, I'll have you do the honors.
Stephen Keys, Health Metric Systems.
All right, Stephen, come on up.
May I bring this up or not?
I'd rather you not. Let's keep it. Yeah. Because we're trying to mimic the experience you might have, like talking to these investors after the meeting or something like that, right? So whenever you're ready, I will start this.
Go. I'm Stephen Keys with Health Metric Systems in Palo Alto. The healthcare industry has two tasks: improving quality of care and health and reducing costs. My company, Health Metric Systems, addresses both of those by applying the concepts of industrial engineering quality improvement to medical practice. Our software gathers data from existing administrative and operational systems. It massages it, it validates it, it normalizes it, it enhances it, it puts it in context, and then delivers it to decision makers and users based on all of the different things that they are concerned with. The company is a spinoff of the Palo Alto Medical Foundation. It was founded in 2006. It has about 10 years worth of development work in it. It has a product now that is basically productized. It's polished, it's completed, it's documented, it's deployed in a variety of locations within the United States right now, and we're talking to some partners concerning some enhancements that will go into new markets. We don't have a lot of revenue at this point. You were asking about that earlier, but we're close to it because we do have 3 existing contracts. And in essence, we have more people who are interested in our product than we have staff or team to deal with right now. The technical team has been working for about 4 years together. Our main constraint is sales and professional development, the training of staff of our customers. Fortunately, that can be done by contract. And we can either grow by contract or we can raise some money and grow faster. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Steve. So, questions?
Can you tell us a little bit about the team?
The team it was founded by a guy who has a degree from MIT in Berkeley in industrial engineering as applied to healthcare. He brought on board a couple of people who were working for a healthcare cooperative in San Jose who are technical programmers, and he's got on a staff person who was at the Palo Alto Medical Foundation. He has advisors at a fairly high level around the Bay Area primarily, but also up in the Northwest. And he's not here tonight because he is interviewing a young doctor to possibly be on staff.
Are you selling the solution to the IT portion of hospitals, or are you selling directly to the doctors? I mean, who's going to benefit from this one? That's one. Second, how are you going to charge for it? And what do you see as the sales cycle and for implementing something like this?
Good. The IT people need to get involved because we do harvest data of systems that they control. And in some cases, they have been very interested. But it's primarily the CEO of an organization who looks at its impact on total cost and the ability to limit risks and to improve general quality. The sales, the revenue part are two parts. One is the installation, the consulting, the training, et cetera. And that tends to be initially a one-shot deal and then just ongoing support. Licensing is the major source of revenue, and there are two ways which we do that. The Palo Alto Medical Foundation required that all safety net clinics get this software license free, and so it is all of the hospitals, the for-profit organizations, the Sutter Health, the Kaisers, the others who end up paying for it. Did I answer all of your questions? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, what do you expect per hospital revenues per year?
I'm sorry. We worked at it and we haven't got it figured out. It's somewhere on the order of a penny or two per patient visit, and I don't know. Just by the way, I was involved with getting it started several years ago. I left. He's just asked me to come back and help.
So you had two problems that you were trying to solve.
Yes.
Improve the quality of healthcare and reduce the cost. And in your page, I didn't understand either one, how you're going to deliver that solution. And I think
Good, thank you.
you have to infer that having a better system will lead to those effects, but I didn't understand how you would do it. You are going to sell something to a hospital, which means the costs are going to go up. Costs need to come out somewhere else. If you want to capture information and have a better system to manage that information, maybe it's dealing with insurance or some other liability, but it's not improving quality of care. So I think as an elevator pitch,
I need more of that. Thank you.
I think so maybe you should take an example and work through the example and show how each of those two benefits can be achieved.
That's good preemptive feedback. So why don't we, if you guys are ready, we'll vote. Drum roll, please. Okay. And what do we got? Email me, call me. Despite the harsh feedback, he says call me. I'm sorry, Vito, I didn't see yours. No thanks, and Dan says no thanks. Okay.
Confession. If a VC is really hard on you and talks a lot and gives you a lot of input or feedback, they care about it. If they don't care about it, or if it's really far out, they'll never do anything about it. That's what you're part of.
So what he's saying is that no is really a yes.
Wow, very nice. Well, I guess if you're tweeting this stuff, you can tweet it. #ironic feedback. Okay, good. That's right. No is the hashtag. No is in the US. Yeah. Okay. Ankur, you had a call me, was it?
No.
Email me. Okay. And what would Steve have to do in order for him to convince you in that email message that you should take a meeting?
So some things I like. I think the fact that you were spinned off from PAMF, I think that gave a sense of credibility that there is a medical sort of background behind this. When you described the team, it didn't fully convince me that it had the background. The CEO looks definitely smart, very good background, but I would think something like this needs somebody who's spent a lot of years in the medical industry to be able to do effectively. So I'm sure there's more to it, but I'm sort of giving that benefit of doubt. And as Nati mentioned, a use case would be helpful understanding how you do what you do, and you didn't mention any results. Again, I inferred the fact that you mentioned that you have a pipeline of customers waiting. I inferred you probably have good results, which is why it's waiting, but you didn't explicitly say that the results you got. So I think some of those information would help me make a better decision.
Excellent.
Steve, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Would you do the honors and pick the next name?
So, M. Yan. Rahul Gandhi.
Rahul Gandhi.
Rahul Gandhi.
Nandi, okay. Mix it up a bit.
The top one never gets in.
Good, you can mix it up for Vinny when he does it. So, whenever you're ready, I'll start the timer.
All right, so hi, I'm Rahul. I'm one of the founders of a company called Tune Spray. I recently moved to the Bay Area. So our focus is mainly on leveraging opportunities in the technology opportunities in the Indian education market. We've already worked with about 150 K-12 schools across India, selling them software that helps them to automate grading and report card generation and e-learning. So one of the things that has become very interesting for us is to move to the consumer side of the business. Let me explain. In the next 2 years, the government of India and private sectors will employ about 2.4 million teachers, primary school teachers. Now, it's also become mandatory earlier this year that you have to pass an eligibility exam, anybody who wants to be a teacher, to maintain a benchmark of quality. There was an exam earlier this year, 800,000 candidates appeared for it, out of which 86% failed. We want to change that. We've created a platform called TETguru.com, which is an online test preparation platform dedicated towards teacher test prep. They pay between $5 to $10, $5 to $20, and then can essentially not only basically get the experience of knowledge, but train for speed and accuracy, which are important ingredients of a competitive exam. Also, it's accessible over mobile, online, and we have done it in a way that it's vernacular. So somebody in UP can have it in Hindi, somebody in Bengal can have it in Bengali. We launched 1 month ago. We have 1,000 subscribers already who are paying us. In terms of marketing, we are doing a lot of ground level partnerships where we have revenue share with resellers. And what we are seeing is that this is just the first step. How we want to succeed is that these teachers are already asking, after the exam, can you connect us with jobs? And this is where we can leverage our existing database of schools that we work with. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Questions?
So just really quick, because it was fast there. So what are you doing now? So right now you're doing report card generation.
No, so that's basically our business that we want to. So that's the business side of we said. So we are selling to schools, but we wanted to move to a consumer side business. We want to leverage the experience. So we saw this opportunity in teacher test preparation. So that's what we're doing right now, and it's called TETguru.com. So basically, we're preparing teachers to give these exams. Next year, between 3 to 4 million people will give these exams.
I would say as feedback, I think especially in the elevator pitch, you spent a little bit, probably too much time for 2 minutes on what you guys have done before. And I think you could have done a little bit of, you can definitely say that you have experience in the Indian education market. I think that's important. But I think you got a little bit detailed on what you were doing there. So I'll give that a little bit of feedback.
Can you comment on the competition in this space for you?
Definitely. So, the main competition we are seeing are the traditional publishing, the publishers right now. But we have a leg up on them because most of these competitive exams, and there are going to be 20 of these exams at each federal and state level, are going to become online next year. And unlike traditional text paper books, you don't get you don't get to train on things like speed and accuracy. Other competitors could be other test prep companies, but their focus is mainly on undergrad test prep, CAT, SATs, GRE. So let me put a simple example. It's not about teaching greenhouse effect, what a greenhouse effect is, but it's teaching how to teach greenhouse effect. So the audience out here is teacher, their needs are very different, and we have a lot of experience in doing this. So that's why how we're going to beat the competition. And again, vernacular is very important that we've already covered.
How do you get visibility of your solution to the teachers, especially when you say vernacular? I mean, you're not talking about people just in the cities, but in the tier 3, tier 4 towns as well. How do you get to them? Do they have the infrastructure to access some of these facilities that you're talking about?
So we basically have a base to start with, since we've already worked with 150 schools across the country. So we had a base to sell to these teachers and reach out to these teachers. That's one thing. Second is that we have partnered with local resellers. They could be internet cafes, people selling SMS in these small regions, and give them revenue share and also a platform where they can activate these subscribers. And if they're running a cyber cafe, they can give these test prep. So that's how we're doing it right now, and it's working out. We're getting a lot of activations from places like Bihar and rural parts of UP, because they are the ones who maybe can't even buy a book, but actually have access to internet. And it's surprising, but that's true.
Okay. Did you have a burning question, Ankur? Looks like otherwise. Okay. So you guys ready to score this pitch? Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Dan, I can't see yours. Let's see. Call me. Very nice. Email me. Call me. And no thanks. So that's a pretty strong response. That's very nice.
Thank you.
Dan, why call me? What did you find interesting?
So the first thing I should note is don't actually call me. I mean, I want you to call me, but definitely email me. I don't actually pick up my phone ever.
Thank you for the clarification.
My generation doesn't do voice, right? So we don't
tweet me.
Yeah, we text, we tweet, Facebook message. But if you call me, I'll be like, who is this? That's going on. I'm sorry. I think education is definitely a very interesting market all around the world, and I think in particular in India, we're starting to see kind of the telltale signs. First of all, India's always been strong in education in a variety of factors, but also the ability to distribute within India has gotten significantly better. I mean, we witnessed in our portfolio, and what you're talking about, there's still challenges around things like shipping and taking payment, but internet access is getting better and better. So I think that's something that's interesting. And I also just think the education space is great. I would say, on a small piece of feedback, doing the adult education market is a good thing. And the way I would expand, probably off the top of my head, would be into other areas of adult education. Not necessarily away from teaching, but like in other ways to enrich them, like certify them in a certain sector, or give them more specific certification. And even if it's not government reliant, you probably want to move away from the government reliance anyways to some degree. Move maybe into other or adjacent fields, because it's a very, very, very successful market all around the world. People continually want to get, or people want continuing education, and so I think that's the interesting market.
And actually, Dan makes up, or Dan had an earlier comment, which is also a very good point, which is you don't need to dwell too much on irrelevant stuff on your background for an elevator pitch. So in other words, the 2 minutes is a maximum. If you think you can get your message out in 30 seconds, 1 minute, whatever, that's fine. You don't have to take up the whole 2 minutes and fill it with dead air. Vinu.
I mean, Intel, education and Intel almost are hand in hand, and there are lots of education initiatives at Intel. And one of the initiatives is, I think, the Emerging Market PC Group, EMPG, and so they're always looking at solutions for not just K through 12, but beyond. So there may be something here where I can introduce them, and I can introduce you to the EMPG group, and they can then decide whether this is a solution that they want to take to places like India and others.
Great. Well, that's really good feedback. Thank you. You want to grab the next business card out of the jar?
It's pennytracker.com.
Penny Tracker. Who's the entrepreneur's name?
Andrew Morrison.
Come on up, Andrew.
How you doing?
Yeah. Thanks, Dan. So he's just reminding me, when you're giving your presentations, if you can stand right by the microphone so that everyone in the audience can hear. Whenever you're ready.
All right. Pennytracker.com seeks to revolutionize the way legacies are passed generation to generation. I want you to imagine Curtis. He's an internet user on his second marriage. He has a few different retirement accounts and a few different life insurance policies spread across a couple of different firms. Unfortunately, Curtis passes away unexpectedly. Now, not only mourning his death, his family has to go through the daunting task of consolidating his assets. Well, he didn't really tell he didn't tell his family where his assets were or how to claim them. And they don't know what to do. They wait for a call, but the call doesn't come. And unfortunately, he had never updated his beneficiaries after his first wife, and he divorced. All of his assets actually went to his ex-wife. And all the other assets, who knows, they went into unclaimed property, the $33 billion of unclaimed property in the United States. Well, what could he have done? BennettTracker.com, with BennettTracker.com, he can easily log in a safe and secure location where his assets are, who's entitled to them, and how to claim them. Once he passes away and his death is confirmed, we reach out to each of his beneficiaries personally and confidentially to let them know about their brand new and automatically generated profile. On the profile, they see what assets they're entitled to, how to claim them, and also they're able to read any personal messages that our client has left for them. With BennettTracker.com, we stick by our clients and our beneficiaries' clients every step of the way until every penny's claimed. There's over 61 million individuals in the United States that are just like Curtis. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, gentlemen?
How does this differ from estate planning or?
Well, first, I'll give you our background. I'm from finance, Merrill Lynch, and we saw this problem all the time, and we dealt with affluent individuals who had estate plans, who had wills and trusts. But if a will and a trust don't coincide with a beneficiary designation on paper, the beneficiary designation will supersede those instructions in a will and a trust. Also, a will or a trust doesn't cover qualified assets such as IRAs or some life insurance policies. It's also, our product is cheaper because a will or an estate can cost upwards of $8,000. Our service is going to cost a lot less. That's the difference.
How do you make it legally binding?
Well, we rely on the information that our clients provide to us. We send an annual statement to our clients to remind them to update their beneficiaries if they have a life event such as a divorce, marriage, birth, anything like that. And we do have to, we don't have any power of attorney at this point, but that is something we'll seek out in the future. But at this point, we do have to rely on the accuracy of our clients.
How do you plan to get distribution? I mean, it's definitely a problem, but it's a very periodical problem, and specifically 2 points in life, and people tend not to think about it until it's too late oftentimes, which is something you're solving, but at the same time, it makes it hard to find those people.
Right. Well, like I said, our history is in finance, and we have set up distribution channels with financial advisors, private. We're not seeking out the big ones at this point, but also we're going to seek partnerships with AARP, different membership organizations. We're also going to seek partnerships with corporations, large corporations, to offer as an employee benefit. If we can get this on the minds of consumers before it's too late, then we've done our jobs.
Okay. You guys ready to give this one a score? All right, let's see what you got. No thanks, no thanks, no thanks, email me. So, okay, no thanks. Why does this not work for you?
I would say multiple reasons. One is, I think the key challenge why people don't name beneficiaries that are not organized, they don't think about it. Once they are organized to go to a site and put all the information in, they might as well do it the proper way, which is, working with their financial advisor or a agent, or there's a lot of self-help sites in terms of setting that up. Second, it's hard in a time where startups go out of business every few months. Having somebody trust that putting this thing on a startup website and for you to die and it'll stay there, I think it's a hard sell. It's better if a big company does it. I think it's a lot more credible in that case. So I think I see challenges in go-to-market.
So Ankur, you're saying, if I can paraphrase a little bit, you're saying that the real problem here is getting the motivation in the first place to do something, regardless of how easy this is versus how hard something else is or whatever. And that problem is not being solved by this solution. Okay, yeah.
So for me, no thanks was because it doesn't fit with what we do. But that said, I should applaud you for your pitch, because I think a couple of things that I look for is, what's the problem statement, what's your solution, who are your customers. So I think you got that very well, actually. So I applaud you for that. I think that was very good. I mean, the issue of monetization and how you grow, I mean, those are issues that are there. But in terms of, I didn't have to think about, who are you appealing, who are you going after, and what is your solution, and why is it important. So I think that part was very, very good.
Dan, you were the only one who said email me. Everyone else passed on it.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned in my question, I think the distribution part is definitely the hard part for the reasons Ankur mentioned and others. And I also think a big trusted company makes a lot of sense for something like this. At the same time, I think it is definitely a problem, and it's whether you have to educate the populace at first, or you have to be aggressive with kind of user acquisition in kind of creative ways. I think that's something that kind of bodes well. People aren't doing it. I would say, and the reason I put email me is I think there's a market hard to reach, but I also think this is probably a deal that I would see later in the cycle making more sense. I think making a venture deal in kind of this kind of a company is very difficult, because you might not even be getting paid particularly. You're not going to see success very quickly with your clients, right? And you have like a timeline there. It's true. I mean, it's sad, but it's true, right? I mean, so you're not going to know a lot about your business for a while, and I also think it's probably a slower grower at first until you kind of have a bigger market share, and then you can establish a category. But I would think of it more as a late stage kind of company, even if you guys are still obviously early.
What if his business model was it's free to use, free to do all that, but it costs $5,000 to unlock who the beneficiaries are upon death? Would that work for you?
Again, that comes in the same problem.
That sounds too much like an email from Nigeria.
I just think about this space, and believe it or not, I've actually seen a number of companies in this space. And one of the funny things about this space is it's very bimodal when people think about this. You think about this when you're a midlife crisis, 40 to 50-year-old maybe, but 40-year-old with enough wealth where you actually start to care, and you've just had kids, and you're like, holy crap, I have to set this up, right? You care about then. Or the person, you're about to die, and the people around you care about it. And the problem is, like, the last demographic is actually interesting. You go through caregivers, but not necessarily fun. And the other demographic, you've got like a 20-year, and these are oftentimes healthy individuals, you could have a 50-year wait till you have any kind of a success rate, and that can be miserable.
Yeah, the problem is your successful customers are all dead. That's the problem.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Thanks very much. And would you please pick the next name out of the jar there?
I don't want to take this one. There was one from I think you're in there, by the way. I don't know. Whatever you mentioned, that's transition. Samir Matrani, NGX Technologies.
Hey, Samir, come on up. All right, Samir, whenever you're ready.
Hi, I'm Samir Mitrani. I have a little over 20 years experience in embedded product development. Today I head design services for an India-based 500-man embedded services company. The company I'm talking about is NGX Technologies. NGX Technologies is a little over 2 years old. We've been doing design platforms for microcontroller products. So today we have shipped over 5,000 development platforms to companies like NXP and Renesas, companies like that. The idea that we have is, so far being connected was about being able to connect to the net. Today it's being able to use your iPhone, iPad, other devices to be able to connect to the things around you. The idea that we have is we want to be able to use our microcontroller expertise to build made for iPod, Android ADK, different devices that you can connect using your iPhone and other devices that you've got around you. We have a lead-in with some of the semiconductor companies that we're working with, and we want to be able to become an ODM or a product design partner of choice to our customers.
Great, thank you. Questions? Yeah, we're all looking at Intel's
I'm just scratching my head because I promised myself never to do semiconductor investments. So, tell us a little bit more about who your customers are. Are these individuals? Are these small design shops that are trying to build ancillary devices to existing consumer electronic devices? I didn't understand that aspect.
I'm sorry, I should have covered that. We've got two types of customers. Some of them are the kind who want to build a printer for being able to do transactions right at the spot using a phone. Some of them have medical devices and they want to be able to blood glucose meter. They want the user interface to be on the iPhone. So our customers today, in the microcontroller space, when you take a new silicon, there are typically about 2 or 3 different vendors who are supplying to that. We are one of them for some of our customers.
How would you make money? I mean, ultimately the problem with people who just supply an SDK is that you sell an SDK for $2,000 or $5,000 or whatever, but you rarely get to make money after the product has been developed. It's very difficult to make money out of that. So how do you see the business model for something like this?
So we see ourselves doing NRE design. We also see ourselves doing the production. So we are today doing the production for